Chapter 96, Geto falling on his sword. Gojo and Geto busied themselves taking their shoes and jackets off while Yaga set a barrier around the training room. It was Geto who was trying to catch Gojo's eye this time. Gojo had been weirdly sullen during class, like something was on his mind. Geto brushed his hand against Gojo's wrist. Geto wasn't sure what he was expecting, but when Gojo finally turned to him, he could see the vibrant blue of his eyes, intense, even behind the dark tint of his sunglasses. Geto felt a strange pull, and all he could whisper was, "Satoru?" Gojo blinked a few times and shook his head. The spell was broken, but they stared at each other until Yaga cleared his throat. Yaga had the birdcage again, containing the bee curse. He motioned for both of them to follow him to the middle of the mat. "Gojo, I'm going to ask you to turn infinity off for the duration of this training," Yaga instructed. Infinity was Gojo's personal barrier against the world. He left it off for Geto when they were alone. He turned it off here and there for Geto's training, but asking him to leave it off for a whole session was like asking him to strip naked in the courtyard. He might smirk and joke about it, but inside, it made him uneasy. If he was being asked to turn it off, what was Geto going to be asked to do? Yaga waited for Gojo to do what he was asked. Then he turned to Geto. "All you need to do is keep the curse from getting to Gojo. This one's a little more aggressive than the last one you dealt with. The sting is more intense. This is a trust exercise for Gojo, and a control exercise for you. Keep Gojo safe until the timer goes off." Geto's throat clenched and he stole a glance at Gojo, who tried to give him a smile. Geto didn't know if Gojo was nervous about shutting off infinity or if he was unsure Geto could keep the curse from stinging him. Yaga had Gojo sit on the mat. He looked up at Geto. "Your need to protect me is as strong as my need to protect you. I trust you," he said quietly. No joking, no winking, no swagger. Gojo closed his eyes. Geto felt the hair on the back of his neck prickle. It was only training, but he must not fail. Yaga brought the fat bee curse out of the cage and freed it from the talisman. Geto readied himself and aimed his energy towards the bee as it went straight for Gojo. The curse got caught in Geto's pull, and Geto felt it fight back, angrier than the first bee. The curse looked caught in midair, but it was strong enough to keep lunging towards Gojo, and Geto was equally strong pulling it back. The seconds ticked away on the stopwatch that hung from Yaga's wrist as he watched, intrigued. Geto approached the curse, which was glaring at him with humanoid eyes. Its buzzing sounded metallic and menacing. Geto's attention faltered when he looked at Gojo just a few feet away and saw his eyes were still closed, fully trusting him. The bee pulled away, and Geto gritted his teeth, using his cursed energy like a whip to corral it back in. It was way too close to Gojo, and Geto drew his arm back. The curse was pulsating with rage. The reverb caused Geto's arm to tingle. Beads of sweat ran down his temples. His shirt was damp and clinging to his back. He tried to regulate his breathing and keep steady. Yaga glanced at his stopwatch. Could Geto make it just a little while longer? Geto and the curse seemed to be staring at each other. Geto wanted to pull it in closer. It was at a midpoint between him and Gojo. If it got away again, it didn't have much distance to close until it became a danger. 10 more seconds, Yaga called out. The curse must have understood, because it flared and caused Geto's concentration to break. The bee took advantage of his newly found freedom and drove straight to Gojo, aiming for his chest. With a sharp cry, Geto ran towards it, drawing his energy in, then out again like a lasso, trapping the curse at the last minute and whipping it back towards him. The bee barrel rolled in the air on the return and lashed out at Geto just as the alarm beeped on Yaga's stopwatch. A sharp tentacle pierced the fabric of Geto's shirt and stung him in the chest. a jolt that hurt so intensely he couldn't even utter a sound. He fell to his knees. Suguru! Gojo ran towards him, stopping the runaway bee with one hand. Yaga shut his stopwatch off and joined the two on the mat. He took the bee from Gojo and tamed it with a talisman, dropping it back in the birdcage. Gojo helped Geto up, unbuttoned the top of his shirt, and pulled the collar of his t-shirt down to see the damage. An angry red welt was forming, right over his heart. Geto, breathing heavily, put a hand over Gojo's. They looked at each other. Gojo saw the pride in Geto's eyes. He was able to protect him. Gojo was alarmed at Geto's instinct to self-sacrifice for him. Yaga's attention was back on them, and Geto let go of Gojo's hand and straightened out his clothes. Pressing his hand against his chest, he noticed the disapproving look on Yaga's face. I didn't let Satoru get hurt. This wasn't a test of loyalty. It was a test of control, Yaga scolded. If you can't hold a curse when your emotions spike, you'll be a liability in a real fight. I did exactly what you wanted me to do, Geto argued in a low voice. There's no point protecting an ally if you cripple yourself in the process. I need sorcerers out there, not martyrs. Yaga grabbed the birdcage and took down the barriers while Gojo and Geto redressed themselves. They parted ways with Yaga outside Jujutsu headquarters, Geto still pressing his hand to his chest, and Gojo carrying both their backpacks. Is there any point in me asking you to see Shoko? Gojo asked. It sounds like you already know the answer to that one, Geto replied. It didn't hurt to try. Later, when Geto was changing for bed, Gojo stopped him and looked at the wound on his chest, inflamed, blooming red. He traced his fingertip around it, barely brushing against his skin. Gojo touched his forehead to Geto's. Don't do that again, Gojo said quietly. Geto dropped his eyes. I turned Infinity off because I wanted to trust you, Suguru, not watch you fall on your sword for me. If you keep taking the pain that's mine, I'm afraid one day there won't be anything left of you. I won't be able to live with that. Geto wrapped his hand gently around Gojo's wrist. If pain has to find someone, it's okay if it's me. A sad smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. If there's nothing left of me someday, promise you'll notice before I'm gone.